I know there's so much negativity around study abroad, especially studying in the US these days. If you even talk about do an MS, then people will start shouting on you. It is such a bad place right now. There are no jobs, there are layoffs, you are throwing your money down the drain, etc., etc. And I agree with many of those news which are real. We have been covering it objectively. I did a video on don't do a MS in US if, and I laid out the scenario where masters may not be the right decision for you. I also did a video on is USA worth it anymore or not, to talk about the negative aspects of masters and how to be prepared for it. But I do think it's not a doomsday scenario either, as some social media influencers are trying to paint it to be. No, I don't have a personal interest in it. You should not apply for it if it's not the right thing for you. But for some people in certain situation, it is still the best decision, because the fact is situation in India is not great either. What are those scenarios in which masters in US still makes a lot of sense? What is the silver lining behind it? And if you're planning for studying in US, these are the scenarios where you should feel confidently about applying. So I will cover 5 such scenarios in which I think masters is still a very, very good decision for you even in 2024. I will talk about these on the other side of the intro. Keep watching. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is Nistha from Scholar Strategy, and today we are talking about 5 scenarios in which MS in US still makes a lot of sense for you. So without further ado, let's get into it. And I want to cover the first point, which is if you are from a STEM background, especially engineering. First things first, an MS in USA is ideal if you're from a STEM background, particularly engineering. The job market in the US favors STEM graduates, especially in fields like computer science, data science, electrical engineering, etc. Firstly, there are more number of jobs in these fields, and secondly, you get 3-year study work permit known as OPT if you're going for a STEM course, which is crucial in this job market. Whereas you get only 1-year OPT if you're studying a non-STEM course like MS in marketing. So the bottom line is I wouldn't recommend pursuing an MS in non-STEM courses like arts, humanities, or even business unless you have a very solid plan. It's not that those fields are bad, but with the current H-1B visa situation, it is extremely hard to find non-STEM jobs, especially one that can sponsor your H-1B work visa. To understand more about H-1B, check out our full H-1B visa series where I explain why STEM graduates have a better shot at success in the US. Now, my second reason is if you are stuck in an uninspiring career in India. Maybe you have hit a salary cap of less than 15 lakh per annum, or there is no real growth in sight. Then this could be a wake-up call. An MS from US can open up really good opportunities and give your career a much needed boost. I know so many talented people who are making 14 lakh per annum in companies like Deloitte and IT companies. They did a master's in US and switched right away to 100,000 plus annual salaries in the US. The crux is you can never hit those kind of salaries in India unless you are from IITs, NITs, or crack an offer in Mank kind of companies. Let's say you've been working as a software engineer for 4 years, but you feel like your career is plateauing. You are not getting promoted, salary isn't growing at the pace you want. The good news is that an MS in US can give you the skills and global exposure needed to break through that ceiling, and often leads to salaries of $90,000 or more right after the graduation. By the way, job market in India in 2024 is pretty awful. People are lining up for basic jobs, and we saw how bad the situation was in Gujarat and Mumbai, where 1,000 plus people queued up for a couple hundred job openings. So from that perspective, I do feel that MS in US in the STEM fields can give you much better career prospects. Third point is you can afford spending 50 lakh on MS with an education loan. MS in US is expensive. There's no sugarcoating it. Between tuition, living expenses and other costs, you're looking at spending at least 50 lakh over the course of 2 years. It is a big investment. But here's the thing, if you or your family has some expendable money, or you are able to take out an education loan, the return on investment can be great if you land a good job afterward. Many people recover their costs within a few years of working in the US. I've covered this in detail in our funding masterclass, where we do a full analysis of how much you have to spend on US and what is the kind of ROI and break-even period you can expect with your education. Remember, you should not be taking any financial burden unless you're comfortable with the risk, and always have a plan in place for loan repayment, whether you end up working in the US or return to India. So as long as you have a plan or strategy for it, I do think that it can be a good ROI decision if you're going for the right program. Fourth point is, you are a decent student and genuinely interested in further education. Let's talk about academics. If you're thinking of doing an MS just for the sake of moving to US, stop right there. You need to be genuinely interested in the subject matter and capable of handling the rigorous coursework. Why? Because the US education system is tough. Universities take plagiarism very seriously. You can't just copy paste assignments or slack off. You need to truly understand the concepts to get good grades. And here's another reality check. A low GPA will make it even harder to find a job after graduation. If you're not invested in learning and doing well, it will reflect in your academic performance, and that can hurt your chances of landing a job. So ask yourself, are you ready to commit to further education, and do you have the discipline to handle the coursework? If not, do rethink whether MS is the right decision for you or not. And fifth and last point is, you are okay with coming back to India a few years after your MS. Now this is something that many people may not want to hear, but it is the reality. One common reason why people used to go for an MS in the US was to get the green card there. That's not the case anymore because the backlog for Indians is huge. You must have heard the news that Indian nationals awaiting EB2 and EB3 green cards are facing up to 128-year wait time. So yes, it may take forever to get your green card unless you're able to file an EB1 category, which is difficult and not possible for everyone. This is why you should be prepared to come back to India after a few years. Additionally, the job market itself is competitive and not everyone gets the H1B easily either. We have talked about how some Indians are forced to return to India when their H1B lottery did not work out in this previous video. Do check it out. While I recommend working in the US for at least 3 years to maximize your experience and savings, because you can do so on OPT, it is important to be okay with the possibility of returning home if H1B or green card does not work out for you. Remember, even with a US degree, there can be exciting opportunities in other countries. If the reason is to give your career an immediate boost in the short term and be okay to settling anywhere else, then I think USA is still a pretty good place to pursue your career dreams. To wrap things up, an MS in the US can be life-changing, but only if it's the right fit for you. If you're from a STEM background, stuck in a dead-end job, have the financial resources and are genuinely passionate about your field, it might be your best decision. But if you're just doing it to get out of a rut or think it's a ticket to PR in US, you might want to rethink things. I hope this video gives you some clarity. If it did, give us a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more tips on studying abroad. Let me know in the comments what you think, and if you're already in the US, do share your experiences with our community. I will see you guys next time with a fresh new video. Until then, take care and all the best with your fall applications.